Hey everyone, I'm Epion and today we're playing some Commander. I will choose to go first. I am playing my Damia Sage of Stone and my opponent is playing Marath the Will. This hand is a little slow. I think it's actually okay though. We're kind of a slow deck. We do also have access to Counterspell turn 2 if we need, which can hopefully help us hold off this Marath. Another land is not too bad for us. We're going to play this Guild Gate first. Get some of those colors up. At this point we're almost at enough land for Damia, if need be. A temple from our opponent, so it looks like we're both on the tap land plan, which is fine. Thragtusk is not too bad for us at all. The life gain and the ability to leave behind a token is definitely something we're interested in. Kessig Wolf Run is pretty dangerous. And a Mana Crypt. It seems like our opponents have all pretty much been on the Mana Crypt plan. Yi San can be very dangerous. I think we're going to have to go ahead and counter this. The card advantage that you can get off Yi San and fetching up basically whatever you want each turn is definitely dangerous for us. We're going to play the Swamp and we'll go ahead and send it back. Golgari Charm's not too bad. I doubt that our opponent's going to have a lot of -1/-1s. But the enchantment destruction is also pretty relevant as well. Sylvan Caryatid is fine. Stoneforge Mystic is a little scary. But if all else fails, we can always beast within whatever gets fetched. Let's see what gets revealed. Skull Clamp. So it looks like our opponent may be on the plan of taking off Saprolings off of this Marath to be able to Skull Clamp them. Which, if that's the case, is a pretty solid plan. We'll go ahead and play this Mire out. I think at the end of the turn we'll fetch up probably an Overgrown Tomb. I don't think we need more blue sources, especially with blue in our hand. Knight of the Reliquary. Gonna clamp the knight. We'll go ahead and take this one. It's not a huge deal for us. Now that we're in the end step, we'll go ahead and fetch up this Overgrown Tomb that we wanted. We're not going to pay the life for it. And I think we'll go ahead and Golgari Charm just to go ahead and clear this Knight off. Knight is another card that can get incremental card advantage. Unfortunately, our opponent does get the 2 cards from that Skull Clamp. Gaze of Granite is pretty good for us. I think what we'll go ahead and do is Gaze of Granite for 2. We don't have much to lose here, and it's basically going to wipe out everything that he's got. that doesn't quite work the way... Oh, we don't want to concede. We definitely want to undo. This needs to be a black. And we'll Gaze of Granite. Okay, our opponent's gonna Eldamari's Call. Let's see what he fetches up. A Sun Titan. Well, fortunately for us, that's not going to be something that's playable soon. We did manage to knock out a pretty fair amount of our opponent's permanents. Probably a red. Yep, here comes Marath as a 3/3. Fortunately, this Soul Tie Charm doesn't do a whole lot against a Marath. We will go ahead and play this Thrag Tusk. That should hold his Marath off, at least in the meantime, and it'll gain us a little bit of life. Our opponent's probably going to Sun Titan this turn if he hits his land drop. That's not great for us. We would like to ideally be able to cast Damia on our next turn. Nightshade Peddler. So he's going to Soulbond it with his Marath so that he can shoot our Thrag Tusk for basically 1 mana. And it looks like that's probably what he's going to do. That's some pretty good synergy our opponent has. The 1 commander damage we're not super worried about at this point. We do have 2 pieces of removal in hand. However, this does mean that we can't actually run our Damia out at this point. We'll go ahead and send it back to our opponent like this. We have 2 pieces of removal in hand, so we want to try and get as much value out of that as possible. So our opponent's going to fetch up an enchantment. Let's see what they get. No enchantment, an artifact, so a Soul Ring. Looks like his goal is probably to try and get this Sun Titan down. And a Voice of Resurgence. So we're going to go ahead and Soul Tie Charm in response to get rid of this Nightshade Peddler. And we're also going to go ahead and Beast Within this Soul Ring. He is going to get a 3/3 beast, but it seems like he wanted to fetch up some mana. And our opponent's going to attack for 1. At this point, we basically have to get Damia down. We're definitely hurting for cards. If she does manage to stick, then that's going to refill our hand, and hopefully we'll have better ways to interact with our opponents. Kiki-Jiki. I'm assuming so you can make tokens of Voice of Resurgence. Yep. That's a pretty good little combo there. Go ahead and block to clear this beast token. We're going to take 2 from the voice, but ultimately clearing off that beast token is going to make the token that gets left behind by Voice of Resurgence a little bit less powerful. Hopefully we draw something good here. The swamp. We do have increasing ambition. I think what we may do is go ahead and fetch up a piece of removal for this Kiki-Jiki. And that's probably going to be our best play at this point. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. Black Sun Zenith won't do it with another one on the board. So I think this is going to be our best bet. And we'll grab this Putrefy. Do we have something that's more efficient? Ultimate price is kind of narrow in a multicolored deck. This will allow us to kill a Kiki-Jiki, and we don't have to pay nearly as much mana. So let's go ahead and fetch with this Polluted Delta. We'll just grab a basic here so we don't have to pay any additional life. We'll play this Ingot, and then we'll use that mana to play the ultimate price while our opponent is tapped out. Hopefully our opponent can be kept off lands. And just as we say that, he hits that land drop. We're probably going to get Sun Titan at this point. Then he's probably going to want to get back probably Nightshade Peddler, if I had to guess. I think he would like to keep up that advantage. Yep, netted by the Peddler. And it's probably going to get soul bonded back to Marath. And it did. Oh, interesting. Our opponent is going to get in there with the original voice. He's not going to get in there with the original voice token. I think we're okay to just take this damage. Ultimately, Damia is going to draw us 3 more cards. Hopefully we come up with a good way to deal with these creatures, which we did in the form of Black Sun Zenith. So Black Sun we're going to need to do for 8. Unfortunately, that does mean that's going to tap us completely out, which is not ideal. It's basically going to leave us with nothing else to play. Though I do think at this point, just clearing off the board is going to be just much better than our other lines. Especially when our opponent is tapped out. If we can continue to keep managing his creatures, it's going to benefit us in the long run. And unfortunately he is going to get a voice token, but this does leave our opponent with only 2 cards in hand and a wiped board. Wooded Foothills is great for us. Probably going to play Marath again here. If that's the case, that's just fine as far as we're concerned. And a Sakura Tribe Elder. So it looks like he's just pumping up his elemental token. That's fine with us. I think that the long game here favors us. So if we run out Leyline, it'll allow us to do, you know, a little bit of tricks. The main thing that we want to try and avoid as much as possible is getting blown out by Kessig Wolfrun. I think we'll go ahead and play this Leyline of Anticipation. This allows us to be a little bit more flexible in our next turn, depending on what our opponent wants to do. And we'll go ahead and ship it back. And he's going to fetch a land before the end of turn. Or before his turn, rather. Probably just trying to thin out his deck, doesn't want to keep getting too many lands. See if we can bait our opponent into doing a Kessig Wolfrun. Doesn't look like that's what he wanted to do. We're going to have to start being careful about this Marath. We don't want to take too much damage from his commander. Obviously we'll lose the game at that point. Yep, Lotus Cobra is not a huge deal for us. Now that we're at the end step, we're going to go ahead and run out this Arcanist. If our opponent wants to spend his mana to go ahead and deal with it, that's fine as far as we're concerned. River Barrier's not great. It is almost an infinite blocker. Let's see if we have enough to play Omniscience here. It looks like we probably do. So we've got 5, another 5, Yep, we have enough to play Omniscience. The question is whether we want to at this point. I think it's probably our best bet. We're going to want to get Omniscience down, and we can basically just vomit up our hand at this point. And Omniscience does it. Unfortunately, when a lot of opponents see Omniscience getting ready to come out, that's sort of GG's. It does mean that they can play anything that they want for free, and in combo with Leyline of Anticipation, it also means I can play it whenever I want. Anyhow, if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. But until next time, this is Epion, signing off.